Hey my dear, it's Leadership Development Coach Kathy Archer. Today we are talking about, are gritty leaders, are gritty leaders happier? And the answer is perhaps they are. And so if you are a leader and you're, struggling on a day-to-day basis, perhaps you want to feel more happier is one word, but maybe it's more confident, maybe it's more capable, maybe it's more engaged, then this live session is for you, because we're going to talk about what grittiness can do for making you have better days. 2 seconds while I pop on over to my Facebook page, which is probably where you're watching this, and I share this into the Confident Women Leaders group. If you are a women leader and you are perhaps struggling with your confidence, and you maybe perhaps want to, just a minute as it's thinking about whether it wants to share with me or not. If you want to feel more confident in your leadership, feel more capable, feel more able, come join the group, because it's a group of women leaders who are talking together, sharing together, learning together, growing together, and developing their confidence together. And so I am not seeing that we are getting the right thing up. So, oh, there we go. Sometimes technology is a little bit much and we have to just bounce around and work with what we've got. So here's what I've noticed. I've noticed that, 2 seconds, sharing into the Confident Women Leaders group. Again, if you are interested in joining the group, just hit Confident Women Leaders group. I'll share the link below when I'm done, and you can ask to join, and then I will let you join in that group, and we are on our way to roll. So what I've noticed is many of us have bad days and good days. My question is, and I want you to answer this in the chat box below. My question is, do you have more good days or more bad days? We can talk about happy and content and satisfied and fulfilled and excited and engaged. But, at the end of the day, there's kind of two emotions, good, bad. So do you have more good days or more bad days on an average week? Do you have more good meetings, good interactions, good conversations with people, or more bad? My guess is that the majority of you are struggling with leaning towards more to those feelings. More, oh my God, another day, I made it through, I survived. If I could just figure out how to get more hours in a day. That meeting was horrible, I'm glad I made it through. I have so many things to do, and it's all of those crazy feelings. And what you're looking for is to kind of tip that balance where you actually have more good feelings than bad feelings. So what I developed is the Confident Women Leaders group to start helping other women sort of develop that. But I also have a program that I do called Women in Grit, growing courage and confidence in your leadership. And what I often get asked is, why grit? Like, what does grit have to do with anything? Why did you name your program Grit? So last week we talked a little bit about what grit is. And I attached a worksheet for you to kind of measure your grit. So I'll put that link below too. But if you're looking for that, go to silverrivercoaching.com/guides, GUIDES, and you will find it. And that's going to help you to sort of start to look at how gritty you are. Grit is defined by Angela Duckworth as perseverance and passion for long-term goals. So I'm going to pause for a minute because I want to make sure that somebody is attached. Oh, maybe you are there, Mariana. I am making sure that you are. And seeing if you can catch it live. So perseverance and passion for long-term goals. But what happens is we often put a lot of effort in. We often put a lot of time in. But that's not necessarily grit in the definition that we're talking about here. When Angela Duckworth, who's a researcher at Pennsylvania State University, talks, she defines grit as perseverance, meaning you're going to work hard and persist for long-term goals that you care passionately about. And I think that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes we work really hard, we work our butts off, but we're not really connected to it. It's not that we don't care so much, but it's not that deep caring. It's not something we care passionately about. It's not something that we've cultivated that interest and desire, and sometimes we've just lost focus. And so we have to regain that passion and that persistence for something that matters. And that's what grit is: perseverance, passion for long-term goals. And there's 4 psychological assets of grit. I'm just going to grab my notes here so I make sure I don't miss anything. There's 4 psychological assets of grit. The first is interest, the second is practice, then purpose and hope. And I talked a little bit about those in last week's Facebook Live session, and you can find that on my blog and in my YouTube channel. It's all there, and if you scroll back through the videos in Facebook, you'll find it too. But, you know, I want to focus on the hope one today, because I think hope is something, again, that we get a little bit mixed up about. Hope, we sort of, you know, have this belief that, tomorrow will be a better day, and we kind of leave it up to fate, or, you know, if the cards align, or if we're lucky, tomorrow will be a better day. But the hope that Angela Duckworth is talking about when she talks about grit is the resolve to make tomorrow a better day. And that's different than just hoping tomorrow will be a better day. When you have the resolve and the determination to make tomorrow a better day, you take back control. You take back some of the ability to change tomorrow, and that gives you that sense of hope. And so my question is, and again, I want you to kind of say in the chat box, yes, no, but do you believe that you have the capacity to change the circumstances in your workplace? So do you believe you have the capacity or the ability, the influence, the desire to make changes in your work environment? Because if you don't, then you lack that hope. If you don't think you have the ability to change things and you're just waiting for things to change, you're basically then a victim of your circumstances. And that leads to suffering. When we're suffering, it believes we don't have the ability to impact. And when we're suffering, that's when we come home in tears. That's when we are ready to take a stress leave. That's when we feel hopeless and we're, you know, just sort of a victim of our circumstances. We also then start to blame and point fingers, and we expect somebody else to change things, and we wait for somebody else to change. If he wasn't such a jerk, if only she would listen. Well, as soon as she does this, we give that ability or that sort of life circumstances or job circumstances or the culture of our organization or what we're experiencing, we give it over to somebody else. So again, make a comment below. Have you in the last week either blamed somebody for something or being blamed for something? Has somebody else pointed the finger at you, or have you pointed the finger at somebody else for something? In the most toxic work environments, that's what happens. Everybody is pointing at somebody else. It's your fault. If only you would change. You need to do this differently. I can't do my job until you do yours differently. If you weren't such a jerk, if the contract was different, if the way this office ran was different, and we just blame and point fingers and we wait for it to change, and we suffer. We suffer through that. Every day we get up and we go to work and we're like, oh, I can't do anything. And, you know, we have this attitude of sort of, you know, there's nothing that I can do, so I'm just going to endure. And that's when we get into this survival mode where I just have to get through today. I just have to get through tomorrow. I just have to get through this week. And we just wait. If you want to change things, if you want things to be different, you have to cultivate what's called learned optimism. You have to change kind of what's going on for you, and you have to start to think and see things differently. We all experience the same events. And the truth is, the way we see those events, the experience we have of those events is not the same for you and for me. And what makes it different is what's going on up here. What we think about the event creates our experience of it. It's our thoughts, our interpretations, the story we make up. It's the judgments we have. It's the opinions we have. It's that stuff that creates our experience of the event, not the event itself. It's what we believe about the event that creates the feeling, not what happened. So let me give you an example. Perhaps you have staff report to you and they continually show up late for work. Now, you might think something differently about that than I might think something about that staff who's being late. And your opinion or your judgment might change when we add one more detail. She's a new mom, right? Just in that little additional detail, we went from, oh my God, they're probably lazy, they don't care, they're not engaged at work, to, oh, I have a little bit of compassion for her. New mom, might be a little bit bumpy, we'll give her a little bit of space. Now, if that same new mom shows up late for work 2 and 3 months down the road after returning to work, again, you're going to have a whole different story that you're making up. You're going to have a whole different opinion on things. You know, your opinion's going to change from a week returning to work to 3 months after she's returned to work. And so it's the stories we make up about the events. Think about this one. You send an email and you don't get a response. And you wait, you know, an hour and 2 and a day and 2 days, and you still haven't got a response. Now think of all the stories you're making up in your head, right? You know, oh my God, they didn't get the email. Oh my God, they think this about the email. Oh my God, they think this about me. Now what? They're, you know, they're talking to other people behind my back before they respond to the email. They're going to say no. They're going to say yes. They're going to ask me to do more. I mean, the stories we make up just go nuts. And, you know, we have no idea what's going on the other side. But it's the stories we make up in our head that create our experience. And that's where we need to shift things. When we look at the stuff that we're dealing with as leaders, when we look at the stuff that we're challenged with, the problems with staff, the problems in the office, the challenges in the way that we're dealing with kind of the office politics or the things that are going on, everything is connected to our thoughts and our feelings. And it's our view of those thoughts and feelings, whether we see things that we've done as mistakes or failures, or whether we see things as, you know, oh my God, this is a problem, or whether we shift those and see them as growth opportunities or challenges that we need to overcome, or things that we are looking at. That shifts our perspective from, oh my God, this is awful, the world is ending, to, here's an opportunity to grow myself and grow my team. Here's an opportunity for me to stretch and learn something new. And that's that difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So Carol Dweck talks about 2 mindsets that she's researched that are connected to sort of motivation and success. The first is that fixed mindset. That fixed mindset person believes that their skills, their abilities, their talents are cultivated in stone. You know, there's this basic intelligence or basic ability that I have, and I don't really have a lot of room for growth. Think about if you've ever said things like, I don't have an artistic, you know, bone in my body. I can't do math. I've never been good at conflict. I can't speak publicly. That's a fixed mindset, right? We all have fixed mindsets around certain things, things that we don't think we have an ability or a talent or a skill in, and we don't think that we will ever be able to develop that skill or that talent. And if any of you have ever sort of felt that you had no artistic ability, but then went to, you know, wine and paint night, and all of a sudden you come out with this amazing painting, that's shifting your growth mindset or your fixed mindset into a growth mindset. That's helping you believe, because people with a growth mindset believe that they have the ability to develop, that with effort, with time, with persistence, they can grow and develop. And that's the difference. When you have a growth mindset, you start to cultivate hope. You start to believe you can change things. You start to see that, yes, it's going to take effort. Yes, it's going to take time. Yes, it's going to take grit, right? This is all back to that grit piece. And, you know, can I develop skills and abilities to change my work environment? Can I cultivate? Can I grow? Can I change so that my leadership is more effective, that I enjoy my job more, that I can have a different impact on the people around me? So I want you to answer a little question in the chat box for a minute. I want to know if your job is worth the effort. Is your position, the work you do, the job title you have, the organization you work for, is it worth the effort? Is it worth it for you to put the time, the effort, the hard work, the determination? Is it worth it for you to persist to make a difference? That's part of grit, right? Yes, thank you, Mariana. I love that. It's worth it. And that's what you need to cultivate in you, because if you say no, then it's probably time to go find another job, right? But if you say yes, that's when you know, I need to develop that grit. Grit is the ability to get knocked down 7 times and get up 8, right? You get up every single time you get challenged because it's worth it, because you're invested, because you know that you're going to make a difference, because you know that over the long haul, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this week, maybe not even this month, but over the long haul, you know that you're going to make that difference. That's grit. And when you cultivate grit, when you grow grit, when you build it inside of you, that's when you start to really make a difference in your job. Now here's the question. Will that make you happier? Well, you answer that. Just think about it. If you were making the difference you wanted to for something that mattered, would you be happier? Would you go home at the end of the day feeling more fulfilled? Would you go home at the end of the day feeling that maybe you're still tired? No, I mean, maybe you're still exhausted, but maybe you're well used. Maybe you knew that that effort was worth it, right? Think of when somebody runs a marathon and they get to the end. They're dying, they're dead, everything is gone in their body, but they're happy because they did it. Thanks, Mariana. Yes, 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 it's worth it. That's what grit is. And so at the end of the sort of week, if you develop that grit, if you become that grittier leader, if you're able to make those differences, that's when you start to know that I can sort of take who I am and develop that inner motivation as well as the outer motivation. So grit is perseverance and passion for long-term goals. Perseverance, I mean, hard work for the sake of hard work is just crazy. I mean, that's what many of us are doing, right? But hard work for a purpose, when you can connect to that purpose, when you know there's something going on, when you're making that difference, that's grit, right? That's that external part. And then that internal part is that passion. It's that desire in our belly that's growing us stronger and connecting us to what's important. Perseverance and passion for long-term goals, grit. When you become a grittier leader, are you happier? Without a doubt, because you're not only making a difference for those people around you and in your workplace, you're feeling it inside of you. You're connected in your core and in your spirit and in that inner part of you, and you know that you're making a difference for yourself and for those around you. So if you're more interested in the Women with Grit program, there's a link that I'll add below so that you can check it out. Also, make sure you go to silverrivercoaching.com/guides and you can find out how gritty you are and how you can grow more grit. And make sure you, at the top of the page, make sure you click notifications so you know every time I'm on live, because here's what I know. Most of us are running around chasing fires and feeling like we're solving this person's problem and that person's problem. And at the end of the day, we're never getting to the work that we need to get done. The work that is meaningful, the work that we want to connect deeper to what makes a difference for us and for those around us. So I give you both the inner and outer tools to turn that around so you can move from survival to thriving in both leadership and in life. Talk to you next week, my dear.